What's up, San Antonio? What's up, South Texas? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Just checking to see if we are on right now. I'm going to put this on hold for a minute. Normally, we have a 2-minute intro, but that's not going on today. So let's go ahead and give it some time. I guess this is live. Uh-oh. People are on right now. So apparently this is working right now on YouTube. This is amazing. Got it done right the first time. Give me a heads up. Can you hear me? Okay, because I have no way of understanding this technology. I'm basically a caveman right now trying to figure this all out. But I see Chris Gonzalez is already in the house asking the question. Has the show gone off the rails already? It kind of has. Progressive coming down and saying that you're on. Everyone's saying good morning. Garrett from the Netherlands, what's going on? Saying, yep, live. I'm glad that you can hear it because this is a relatively new computer here. I've never done this show on this particular computer, but normally we're in studio. We're at Joe Garcia's house over off Petranco Road. We're still off of Petranco Road because that's kind of where I live, outside of 1604. And welcome to my house. We've done a show here before in the past, but it's been about a year since we've done a show here at my house. This is my kitchen. My dogs are here, so they might be jumping around. But I'm excited about today's show. Again, no Joe Garcia. He's doing daddy duties today. I believe he's trying to catch a flight to Wichita, Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. He's got a long drive, so we're going to be doing this from home. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a fan guest of some sort. Somebody's going to be invited to do the show with me, and we'll do it here on this Zoom stream. But we are live right now. We do sports. We do pop culture. We do nostalgia. You can be part of the show. People already asking the question. Sean Quintero asking the question, where's Duncan? Duncan is in the restroom right now. He is actually in my bedroom restroom right now because he likes the cool tiles. He's a husky. He likes it cold. Like, if it's cold in this house, you walk into this house, it is 66, 67 degrees. He likes it that way, so he kind of is chilling out over there. I've got Cody right here, my golden retriever, laying down at my feet, and then Daisy is just meandering around the house. But lots to get into today. Tonight, Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. You got the Mavericks and the T-Wolves. We got to get into a discussion as to whether or not the Mavericks are in trouble if, in fact, they lose tonight. 4.5-point underdogs to the Dallas Mavericks. Would it suddenly be a series? I mean, would it actually be a situation where all the pressure gets off of the T-Wolves and onto the Mavericks? We'll get into that as well. Saw a mock draft this morning. I'm interested in the NBA mock drafts. Obviously, the Spurs have 2 first-rounders. The draft is going to be in about 4 weeks. Today's mock draft from CBS Sports not only shows Bronny James being drafted, but it has Bronny James going in the first round. What is going on here? Is it nepotism at its finest? We're going to get into not only Bronny James, but Kawhi Leonard as well. I was having fun right now watching First Take, and Stephen A. Smith called Kawhi Leonard the worst superstar of all time. And it got me thinking, did Spurs fans actually, did we dodge a bullet when it came to Kawhi? Because obviously we were big Kawhi fans, and we all remember that fateful day. I think it was like Mother's Day back in like 2016 or so, when Kawhi landed on Zaza Pachulia's foot, rolled his ankle, and was never the same again. Then he ghosted the city, all of that stuff. He left, went to Toronto, won a chip over there, ended up going to the Clippers. Did we dodge a bullet? I mean, when we look back at it, did we actually dodge a bullet when it comes to him? And we'll get into some pop culture. One of my favorite rock stars. He's a legend, not only for his music, but he's a legend also for his fashion. The guy's an actor as well. One of my favorite superstar rock stars has come out and said that he is celibate by choice and that he hasn't had sex in 9 years. Could you be a rock star and not have sex for 9 freaking years? We'll get into that. Again, this is the Alamo City Sportscast. We are 895 subscribers strong. Lots of people coming in. Tim Gonzalez asking, where's Lenny? Lenny the Lizard, probably out in the front, hanging out in the garden. Midtown coming out saying Duncan is in the green room, burning one. Garrett talking about Bronny James saying, I bet the Lakers draft him. And that's kind of where we're going. And then Midtown saying Spurs fans were right. Garrett asking if Ozzy Osbourne is the one that is celibate. He's not the one. We'll get into it because it's a surprising name because this guy can pull, man. This guy, this particular rock star can walk into any bar in the United States and get some ass and get some hot ass along the way, okay? He's a superstar. He's a sex symbol, but he ain't having any sex. It's been 9 years for the dude, so we'll get into that. As for Ozzy Osbourne, I don't know if there are people who want to have sex with him anymore. Ozzy, the legend who pissed on the side of the Alamo long time ago. But let's go ahead and get into it. Game 5 tonight, Mavericks, T-Wolves. Who you got? So the interesting thing about this particular series is that Dallas is up 3-1, won the first 2 games over there in Minnesota. They could have closed things out and pulled a sweep, right? It's hard to sweep a team, especially a team that is the number 1 defensive team in the league. It's hard to do that. But it's one of those things where maybe we had a false representation of what was going on over there, because when you see a 3-0 lead, you think to yourself, oh my God, they must be kicking the Wolves' ass. But the fact of the matter is that the Minnesota Timberwolves have had the lead late in the fourth quarter of every single game, but find themselves down 3-1. It goes back to Minnesota. Odds makers have this as a 4.5-point spread. My thing about it is this: Dallas loses this game. As my good friends at San Antonio Sports like to say, buttholes start to pucker. The nervousness, because then you can't lose game 6. If you lose game 6, what are the odds of you going on the road to a 18,000 seat stadium and winning a game 7 on the road? Very, very, very difficult, man. Very difficult. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, you know, Mavericks better close this one out, man. Mavericks better close out this one. Garrett coming out and saying, I see the T-Wolves taking one more. I see it too. And that's what's going to make game 6 so satisfying. And at that point, I wonder what's going to happen because, you know, Luka's been doing this on one leg, 1 foot. They're blessed to be up 3-1. They have home court advantage now. They just got to win 1 game at home. But it's just it's a very difficult situation to be in because the stress of that. And Minnesota's a very, very good team. Rudy Gobert has been playing a lot better than he had been the past couple of weeks. Yeah. People asking the question, is AB Quintanilla celibate? He's not the one. People want to have this conversation already. Do we want to just jump into Demon Mike time? Is that what we're doing? Sam Slit's asking the question, when is the cooking with Mike session? Baby, whatever. The cooking with Mike session was basically me having some what's it called? Cornflakes for breakfast, right? Cornflakes. Is that a top tier cereal or not? Because typically I'm a Frosted Flakes kind of guy, but sometimes I just want to have the plain Jane cornflakes. That's what I have for breakfast today. Garrett asking the question, I wonder if Mavs blow this one, will Luka want to be traded? Probably not, man. Dallas is a good place. It's a good place. Chris Gonzalez saying that they choked this away, it's because Jimenez started cheering for them. The Jimenez curse, it does exist. Okay, so by a show of hands, are we going to do Demon Mike segment now, or are we going to do this later? Okay, because everyone in the chat seems to be wanting to talk about the Celibate Rockstar. Lots of comments coming on in, man. I really do appreciate everyone with us. It's so weird doing this show without Joe. I normally just look at Joe and have a conversation with him, but this is weird because I kind of feel like I'm just doing a bit of a Zoom session like I'm at work right now. Alonzo saying, bring on the perfect Theo hour again. Mario saying, do it, Demon. Chris Gonzalez saying, just do it now. Okay, so this came down, an article came down about 30 minutes ago on TMZ. And it is about a rock star who is a sex symbol, big time sex symbol, who has decided to put his pecker away and not have sex. And I'm talking about the legendary rock star, legendary guitarist, Lenny Kravitz. Lenny Kravitz, who many consider to be an international sex symbol, basically said that he's looking for the right woman and that he was tired of hoeing around. If you remember, Lenny Kravitz was once married to Lisa Bonet of Cosby Show fame, of the spinoff as well. And he basically said that after he got divorced, he became a hoe. He became a hoe because, well, he's Lenny Kravitz. I mean, Lenny Kravitz is a good-looking dude, man. He's a good-looking guy. He's a sex symbol. I think he was in like People's Most Beautiful People, one of the sexiest men alive type of things. And he just basically said that he's doing it because of his dad. And his dad one time messed around on his mom. And he just basically said that he didn't want to live that life anymore. And it's a spiritual journey that he's on, and that he's happy with his life, but he's still looking for the right girl. And he's basically saying that he is no longer doing the sex thing, right? No longer doing the sex thing. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking to myself, man, 9 years without getting some. 9 years without getting some. Progressive saying, I can't believe it's actually Lenny Kravitz. I swear I didn't look it up. Dude, Lenny Kravitz, well, I mean, I call him a sex symbol who's a rock star. There's very few of them, right? Very few sex symbols who are rock stars. I mean, I guess you could say Mick Jagger, but Mick Jagger is in his 80s, right? But Mario asking the question, is Lenny Kravitz doing a Buffalo Bill, putting it between his legs like in Silence of the Lambs? No, he's not. I'm going to tell you why he's not. Because Buffalo Bill famously in Silence of the Lambs said, I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me. Yeah, no. He's not doing that. Can't believe I did that. Can't believe I did that. So weird doing the show without Joe. So weird. But yeah, 9 years. I can't imagine 9 years without sex. 9 years. 9. And the dude's 60 years old, man. So maybe it was working beforehand. Like, would it work now? Like, does he have to get Hims? Does he have to get Cialis or Viagra at this point? Does he have to have the Blue Chew? Because, I mean, now he's 60 and he hasn't been using it for 9 years. I understand you're on the spiritual journey, but good God, you are a rock star. You are a legend. You sang the remake of American Woman. You know, Are You Gonna Go My Way? You know, All Fly Away. All of those songs, by the way, great songs from the 80s as well. Great songs from Lenny Kravitz. Lenny Kravitz, one of my favorite rock stars of all time. Joe Gonzalez reached out saying Lenny has put up 20K. He's looking for the one. You know? Midtown. Lenny Kravitz got dreads on his thing. Is he still doing the dread thing? Is he still doing the dreads? Is that what he's still doing? Okay, Morby saying Lenny's a smart dude. Stay away from these fake-ass women. Find the right one. No, I'm not saying that you shouldn't find the right one. You should find the right one. I'm advocating that. But, yeah. Sam Selena saying our boy Mike is only on 9 hours and fiending Demon Mike time. Dude, 9 years, man. 9 years is a long time. I mean, come on, man. Could you do it? What are the odds of you being able to be celibate for 9 years or 9 months? For some people, it's what do they call it? Involuntary, you know, because they're not getting dates or whatever the case would be. That I understand. But Lenny Kravitz is somebody that can walk into any bar and come out with a smoke show. He come out to any bar in San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Miami, and walk out with a supermodel. And he's going out there saying, no, put my pecker away. He retired it. And what are the odds you're going to find the right gal at 60, especially if you're Lenny Kravitz? Everyone knows who he is. Who's going to love him for him? You know what I'm saying? Who's going to love him for him? Lots of comments coming in. Again, don't forget to hit the like button as well. We have a QR code on there if you want to tip the dealer, if you will. Our good friend, Joe Garcia, is on the road right now. He's doing the fatherly duty. You know, he has a kid who's going to be going to college, and he has lots of things going on in his life. So we're going to do the next 2 shows like this show and tomorrow's show. I will have someone with me tomorrow, just that we can have an interaction there. But I do appreciate everyone reaching out and being part of the stream as well. South Texas, welcome to the show, my man. Saying Lenny Kravitz probably got so much booty it doesn't faze him anymore. Can you have too much booty? I mean, like, do you think there'll be any point in life where John Mayer looks up and says, nah, man, I'm good. I'm good. Or do they just want to hook up with hot chicks all the time? Is Richie Sambora, who's probably the same age as Lenny Kravitz, is Richie Sambora turning down ass? Come on. Come on. This is rock stars, baby. They're rock stars for a reason. Rock stars for a reason. Now, someone who is expected to be a rock star is someone who's drafted in the first round, right? That's what we hope for. Spurs have 2 first-round draft picks. We've got the number 4 overall pick and the number 8 overall pick in the draft, which is June 26th and 27. And today's latest mock draft by CBS Sports has the Spurs taking 2 guards at 4 and 8. At number 4, CBS Sports has the Spurs going after Reed Sheppard, the 6'3" combo guard out of Kentucky. And they have the Spurs going after Stephon Castle at number 8. Now, I doubt Castle's going to be there at 8. And I was talking to Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to Jeff Garcia at Jeff's G Spurs Zone on Twitter. Subscribe to the Locked On Spurs podcast network. I do it on YouTube. I also do it on Spotify. I'm oftentimes a guest there. Joe's a guest. He has James Pledger on there, Jack Thompson. He's got a lot of different people. Chris Layhouse sometimes on there. Subscribe to him. So, I mean, I was thinking about it. Stephon Castle at number 8 would be a dream come true. I don't think he's going to be around there. I had this conversation with Jeff last night. I was going for a jog yesterday, was doing the walk part, and I called Jeff, and we were just having a conversation about the Spurs. We're friends. Having a conversation about the Spurs outside of Locked On Spurs, and we were talking about Stephon Castle. And I was mentioning the point that I think a lot of Spurs fans have coalesced around the idea that that's the guy that they want. I think that if you polled Spurs fans right now and said between Zachary Reese-Archet, Nikola Topic, Stephon Castle, and Rob Dillingham, who do you want? I think Castle would win that. I think people are coming around to the fact that they don't want to have the Spurs draft another project because Stephon Castle will be able to play 15 to 25 minutes day one. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to be an all-star. I'm not saying that he's going to be a superstar, but what I am saying is that Stephon Castle has such an elite defensive quality that he's going to go out there and play. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, worst case scenario, he is Drew Holiday. Best case scenario, he evolves into Tyrese Maxey. If Drew Holiday is the worst you're going to get, I would take that in a heartbeat, especially for this team. He runs a break. He's a good passer. He can have a good mid-range shot. Can't shoot a 3 worth anything. I mean, just like Sohan, just ain't going to knock down a 3. But an elite defensive presence there. And if the Spurs are going to keep Sohan, and Sohan's a decent defender, and you know that Wemby's an all-world one, and then you know that Devin Vassell is a decent defender. He was actually locked down in college, but has just been like decent in the NBA. Isn't that the start of something? Isn't that the start of something that you could build on? That's the template that the Minnesota Timberwolves have had. They have been about defense and more defense. And I just look at it and I think to myself, you know, it translates. It translates. Now, Reed Sheppard is interesting because Reed Sheppard's the exact opposite. You draft Reed Sheppard for the purposes of making a bucket. He's a walking, talking bucket. 6'3". If the guy was 6'6", 6'7", he'd be number 1 overall, no doubt. The guy shot 54% from the field, 52% from 3 last year, over 50% from 3 last year, averaged 2.5 steals, averaged like 4 rebounds and 4 assists, and this is the guy that's 6'3". I can't put into terms who this guy reminds me of, because whenever I try to remind myself of this guy, just the biases in my head is like, okay, is he JJ Redick? And I'm thinking to myself, am I saying that because he's white? And probably so. I shouldn't do that. But I'm looking at it, I'm thinking to myself, you know, Reed Sheppard has a skill set of being able to play both sides of the ball. He plays bigger than what he is. And I need to pinpoint that. Maybe some of you guys who are listening right now can bring an idea as to how this has been, as to how to describe him, if you will. Give me 1 second here. My chat line went all wonky here. Okay, now we're back on track here. Sorry about that. Alonzo A saying Castle and Shepard would be a dream. Again, that's what CBS Sports is saying today, that their mock draft says that. They have Sarr going number 1 overall. They have Zachary Reese-Archet going number 2 overall. They have Donovan Clingan going number 3. And then they have the Spurs going with Reed Shepard at number 4. South Texas saying that he'd rather have Castle and Dilly. That's not a bad combination either, man. I'd be completely happy with that. Dilly doesn't have the defensive chops that Reed Shepard does. And Reed Shepard is also somebody who led the combine a couple of weeks ago with a 42-inch max vertical. Mario Cavassa says, no more Blake Wesley's and Malachi type players. They need smalls or power forwards. I wouldn't describe them as that. Well, let's talk about that. Blake Wesley is more offensive-minded than he is defensive-minded in my eyes from time to time. Malachi brought him as a streaky shooter, man. He can knock down threes. But the fact of the matter is that he was about a 36% shooter from 3 in college at Ohio State. And it's translated some. He struggled for a while. And then back in February and March was really lighting it up for the Spurs when he was getting some run out there. But they don't have anything that they do that's elite. There's nothing that they do that's elite. What is elite about Stephon Castle? It's the defense. He has elite defense. Right, you know, you take a look at players like a Patrick Beverley or Matisse Thybulle, who they're a lockdown defender. They're going to lock down the 1s and the 2s, maybe even the 3s. Stephon Castle at 6'6" can do that, and it's not sexy. Okay, is he knocking down 3 after 3 after 3 like Reed Shepard? No, he runs the break very well. He has really good vision, passes very well. But he's not the three-point guy. But I just love the fact that the guy can just lock somebody down. And that's part of the game, man. That's part of the game. As far as the comparison, I don't see it. Now, then the comparison of Reed Shepard also known as a defensive-minded player who can knock down some threes, man. That guy is just on fire. Garrett coming out and saying he'd rather see Castle at 4 and maybe Topic at 8. Dude, Topic might be falling in this draft. I mean, would you be surprised this person took him at 4? No. But would you be surprised if he fell to like 12 or 13 because of all the injuries to his knee? Chris Gonzalez giving us a take that's like Shark Tank. Can't shoot a 3, and for that reason, I am out. Morby coming out asking the question, can Castle potentially be a good defender on Luka Doncic? That's a good question. I would say no. I think that when the Spurs take on the Mavericks, that's going to be Sohan's job. And though Castle has size at 6'6", and he might be able to deny the pass, he doesn't have the girth necessarily for a Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic is a big boy, dude. Luka is not a skinny point guard. Luka is built like a truck, and you need to have somebody who's built like a truck guarding him. So that would be Sohan's potential. I would say that Stephon Castle would be the one going after Kyrie Irving. That's who he would be guarding. Garrett, don't hate on the gringos. But I wasn't hate on the gringos. I love me some white people. Some of my best friends are white. So I had to turn that on you guys. Mario Cavazos is reaching out saying, Spurs going white like, oh my God, like Sports Star. They'll draft Dalton Connect and Reed Shepard. Wow. I should probably screen these before reading them, but don't say that to my boys at the Sports Star. I just want them to get one guy that's brown over there, one guy that's black. Just one. That's all I'm asking. D'Lo reaching out and saying the Spurs don't need any more players that can't shoot, especially in today's league. Trade the picks. Wemby is ready to win now. Now, here's the thing, though. There's a difference between not being able to shoot and not being able to shoot the three. Like, the project that is Jeremy Sohan is the fact that he can't shoot. Okay, he was not a shooter in college, not a shooter in high school. Jeremy Sohan, they're literally teaching him how to shoot. The dude shoots a one-handed free throw. Now, I'll give him props because he's making them. 75% clip, he's making them. But think about that. That's how bad his shot was coming into the NBA, where they're like, you know what? Instead of being like a normal player, pop a shot it. Just pop a shot. That's how bad it is. When you look at Stephon Castle, I've watched him play a lot. He was one of my favorite players in college. I would say he was probably my favorite player in college this past year. He and Dillingham. Was that Castle was somebody who he can drive, he can finish layups, he can dunk the ball. He's very, very aggressive attacking the rim. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Sean Elliott. Sean Elliott's 6'9", though, so that's not it. But when I'm talking about how Sean Elliott would go and finish the drive, he would stuff it through the hoop. And you see Castle do that. Very cerebral, a very good passer, and would be able to get the ball into Wemby. So I think there's more positives than negatives. I'd rather have that than have somebody who can shoot lights out at three but can't play D worth anything. I mean, I'd rather have a guy that's a 9 or a 10 at defense and a 7 at offense or a 6 at offense than have someone who's a 7 or 8 at offense but a 4 on D. You kind of have to get the best of both worlds, man. Let's see here. Alonzo reached out asking the question, did y'all see the Bleacher Report trade scenario that sends Duncan Robinson from the Heat and the 15th pick for Keldon? I know it's a stretch, but damn, that would be great. Well, Duncan Robinson obviously has the name that should be a Spur, right? I mean, has the names of our two biggest legends. I didn't see it, though. I think Keldon's days are numbered. I really do. You take a look at the Spurs roster right now. The Spurs, if the Spurs keep their 2 draft picks this year and don't do any major trades or major pickups, they're going to have 11 contracts going into next season. And then you have 3 or 4 first rounders next year because the Spurs have their own. They have Atlanta's unprotected. Spurs have Chicago's top 10 protected, and they have Charlotte's top 14 protected. Those are all guaranteed roster spots. I think a lot of Spurs fans are under the impression that the Spurs are offered unlimited number of places to put players. You can't draft all these players and bring in free agents. Like, it's just impossible to do. If the Spurs had 1 first rounder each year, well, then you can do that. But if you're getting 2, 3, 4 each year, you got to get rid of talent, man. And part of that is saying that maybe Keldon's the one out because Keldon brings very little to this team that revolves around Wemby, and it's all about Wemby. I think he's a good player. And as South Texas reaches out and says, nice spark plug off the bench, but guess what? Dime a dozen. There are a lot of players out there in the NBA that are just like Keldon Johnson. Jonathan C. saying, that's a nice staircase you got there, Jimenez. Well, it doesn't wrap around. It just goes straight up. Just go straight up. Sam Salinas number. That dude is on credit. Mario Cavazos saying that Topic is duck. Duck walks and quack. And if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, you will be hurt today, tomorrow, and next week. Very true. Very true. Now, the thing about it, though, is that let me see here. Sam Salinas saying, I wish this thing was better. So Topic is becoming a gamble. Injuries may prove to be a non-issue, but the optics of it at this point is what that he is and will be injury prone. Very true. David Outwater saying that Castle's another Sohan. Well, then that means he'll be loved by everybody. David Atwater is saying that Dilly is a playmaker, so that's what we need, and he can shoot threes. Others are saying that they like the picks right now. D'Lo is saying that we drafted Sohan for the same purpose, and you hate him 99% of the time. The difference, there's a big difference, though, man, because Sohan has no shot. No shot. He's one of the worst three-point shooters in the league. 29% last year, right? So when you look at it, what is the best upside that you're going to get from him? He might be able to develop a 3 level at 33%, max out at 34. He's never going to be a good three-point shooter. Sohan's also not somebody who's going to be able to like attack the basket and things like that. He'll finish breaks and stuff like that. But where I see him doing well sometimes when he has a little baby hook shot, when he has his back to the basket, I mean, that's fine. Castle's shot is not broken. It just needs to be refined. It just needs to be tweaked. It doesn't have to be built. It has to be tweaked. Those are two different things. And I can see Stephon Castle doing good things over time. Mario saying he'd rather see Keldon than Duncan Robinson. D'Lo bringing up the point that Keldon fell out of the rotation on a bad team. D'Lo saying Thibault doesn't play anymore because he can't shoot. Well, that's fair enough. But let me ask you this question about it all. So this is so weird. By the way, what I'm looking at right now is that it appears as though all these picks, all these comments are coming in reverse order. So it's kind of weird. But let me go ahead and reach out a few of them. D'Lo saying Spurs Twitter is delusional. They think Mamu and Champagny as starters on the championship team. Dude, I can't stand either one of those guys. Gary says Spurs should trade some of their picks last year and could have drafted Jaime Jaquez. He would have taken Sohan's spot. Great question by Jonathan C. Do you think the Spurs would have ever developed Derek White into the player that he is today? This is a great question because a lot of Spurs fans believe that whenever a player leaves the Spurs, that it's because they have that foundation built here in San Antonio. And I think that if this was in the past, I think that if he had gotten let go, like say last year, or take that back. Any player that leaves now and goes off and does well, it's because of them. But I will say, Jonathan, that Derek White was developed in San Antonio better than most players because he had Chip Engelland as a shooting doctor. He learned how to shoot the ball better. Defensively, he always brought it. I think he learned a lot defensively from the players that were around. I mean, he was around when the Spurs had pretty decent players on the roster. So I will say that Derek White did get his start in development in San Antonio and that it helped him become the better player that he is with Boston. But I don't see that anymore. Like if Keldon Johnson goes off and does well elsewhere, I'm not going to be here like, oh, well, it's because he was so good here or it's because we built him up. No, I think Derek White is the last of the big threes. I don't know, family tree, if you will, the big three's influence going into the Kawhi years and going into the LaMarcus Aldridge years. I mean, Derek White is a good player, man, and he's doing so well. And that's the thing, that there's some players that are designed to be stars, and there's some players that are designed to be compliments, like the best third guy on the team, the best fourth guy on the team. He knows his role. He knows that when Jaylen Brown isn't making buckets and when Jason Tatum isn't making buckets either, he knows that he needs to step up and be the guy for a while. For a 3-minute stretch, a 6-minute stretch, a half. He knows what he needs to do is to lock people down. His impact for the Celtics is so good. Here and say, oh, it's because of Pop. You know, I mean, it was because of Pop and what he learned over here. I think that would be inappropriate to say. But we've been talking a lot about the Spurs when it comes to the what the Spurs should be doing right now. Samson is saying Joe should have remoted from the airport. He's actually in the air, man. He took off around 10:10, so he's actually on the air. Same mock draft, by the way, that we were talking about, says that Bronny James would not only be drafted, but he'd be drafted in the first round, number 17 to the LA Lakers. Imagine if that happened. I would feel bad for the guy. I would feel bad for Bronny James because if Bronny gets drafted, everybody and their mama would know that he got drafted simply because of nepotism, because he is LeBron's kid. The expectations of a first rounder is greater than a second rounder, and it's greater than somebody who's undrafted, right? That's why people are so excited about like Champagny and because of Mamu, is because they exceeded expectations, but they're never going to be stars. First rounders are typically the ones that are stars, 99% of the time. But if Bronny goes out there and is drafted number 17 by the Lakers, and why would the Lakers do that? The Lakers would do that because LeBron James is set to be a free agent and has said he wants to go play someplace where his son is going to be playing. He's been saying that for years, that he wants to retire being able to play a season with his son. The Phoenix Suns have interest in Bronny James. Bronny James was at the combine and actually did very well. Now, again, at USC, he only averaged like 5 points per game. He wasn't a stud out there. He did have that heart issue, right? He had the cardiac arrest issue, came back, has a clean bill of health. He's obviously a talented player, but he's not his dad. His dad is that 6'9", 280-pound tank. Bronny James is 6 foot, 6'1". But Bronny knocked down a lot of threes at the combine. Again, there's nobody defending him, but he did his job at the combine, showing that he's putting forth the effort. And, as D'Lo mentions to us here, the Suns are thinking about it at 22. That's the thing, because he's going to be getting a workout with the Suns. And as David Otwater points out, there's only 2 teams that seem to be interested. Suns, Lakers, and that's where Bronny wants to go. The thing about it is that they're not drafting him for him. They're drafting him to get his dad. And LeBron James is going to go down as one of the 5 greatest players in NBA history. And he is so valuable and so good. I mean, the guy to this day, is still averaging over 25 points per game, getting 8 boards, 8 assists. He is still one of the 10 best players in the NBA. And he inflates the value of your franchise for that 1 or 2 year period. Bronny is going to be drafted out of nepotism. Might not be in the first round, like CBS Sports says, but that's the thing, is that it's going to be a bad situation for him. Because when you sign these rookies, you sign them for multiple years. If you're going to sign a rookie for 4 years, right? Especially if you're in the first round, 4 years, you're going to sign him. LeBron's not going to be around for 4 more years. LeBron has so much miles on the odometer right now. LeBron's got what, 2 years left? Max? Because I don't think LeBron wants to go out like a punk. I don't think LeBron James wants to go out deteriorated to the point where he's only averaging 12 points per game. He doesn't want to go out the way that Gary Payton went out or Karl Malone went out. He wants to go out the way that, Jordan went out. He wants to go out still one of the best players out there, because there's nothing worse than seeing a legend play poorly. Mario asking the question, can LeBron play till he's 43 years old? The guy's a freak of nature. Doesn't get hurt. Lots of miles on the odometer, but he doesn't get hurt very often. He cramps up when the air conditions go out, but that's about it. Garrett, they will cut him as soon as LeBron retires. Probably right. Jonathan C. say, you're right about 4 years, but it's a rookie contract, which is chump change nowadays. Yeah, rookie deals. I mean, if you're number 17, you're probably making about $3.5 to $4 million. It's kind of what Malachi Branham makes right now. So I can see that. Vane saying LeBron can just stand in the corner and shoot threes. Still brings something to the game. His game has to change over time. And if he's a setup shooter, if he's just a facilitator, dude, if they just have LeBron James play point guard, which he can do, it can prolong his career. He doesn't have to be banging bodies down low anymore. Not at all. Alonzo saying that Bronny playing with his dad would be detrimental to his mental health. I mean, you can only ride your dad's coattails for so long, right? And I just think that he would be. I just think that everyone would know, right? You're being given this award. You're walking the stage to shake the commissioner's hands. You're getting this contract not because of your merit, because they want your dad, because they want somebody else. So you're the ends to the mean. Or you're the means to the end, rather. I don't know. I just found it weird. Hey, Jeff Garcia from Locked On Spurs and Ken's 5 has an article that he posted today talking about how Cleveland point guard Darius Garland, according to Bet Online Sportsbook, the San Antonio Spurs are the favorites to land Darius Garland over the offseason. Darius Garland, a very good point guard. Is he great? No, but he's very, very good. And the Spurs right now are the favorites at plus 300 to get his services. What say you? Would you be happy with Darius Garland as the starting point guard, as point guard one over Trey Jones? Now I'm looking at his stats, right? So Darius Garland's been in the league for 5 years. For his career, he has averaged 18.4 points per game and 7 assists. The best season he ever had was the COVID season, 21-22, when he had 22 points per game and nearly 9 assists and 3 rebounds per game. They have way too many good point guards at that team. Darius Garland is only, 25 years old? He's 24 years old. He'll be 24 by the time the season starts. As D'Lo points out, Garland is a good young player. He's been an all-star before. That was back in the 21-22 season, so one-time all-star. For the Spurs to get his services and trade for him, you'd have to give up some talent. I'm looking up his salary real fast. And Garland's getting paid right now. Woo! Okay, so here are the contracts that Darius Garland has right now. Darius Garland is the highest paid player for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, they also have Donovan Mitchell as well. So they're paying $71 million right now, $72 million for point guard play right now. So they don't need Garland. It's not going to cost as much because here's the thing: if you're going to do that, you have to get rid of Keldon. You have to get rid of Zach Collins, a third player, and probably a couple of picks. David Otwater saying, Keldon for Garland. You need more than that, man. You got to match contracts. You got to come up with at least $30 million or so, $25 million or so in contracts. And then you got to give them some cap space. You know, I see what's in it for Cleveland, right? Cleveland will free up cap space. They can get a little bit younger, and they can get some draft capital. So Cleveland, I don't think, would be in the position to be like, hey, we need 5 first-rounders, or we need 4 first-rounders. I think 2 gets the job done. Maybe give them Chicago's, and maybe give them one of Atlanta's. You know, kind of make it happen. Get a few, I mean, the clean thing to do would be Zach, Keldon, and a third player, an expiring deal. Trey Jones? Yeah, that actually mathematically would work. Keldon, Trey's making just under 10. You have Keldon making 17. It's 27. You have Zach Collins at 14. There it is right there. That's the trade. I would do those 3 players plus 2 first-rounders and make it happen. John C. reaching out saying Garland's a good point guard, but can only give us about 55 games per season. D'Lo saying people are forgetting that he broke his jaw and had a wired shut. He was on an all-liquid diet in the middle of the season. Bainstein saying, I heard Cleveland wants Malachi. Well, that's right, because he's from the area, went to Ohio State. I can see that. I can most definitely see that. Garrett saying, Keldon, Zach, and Branham plus draft capital. It's not going to be just those 3 players because you got backup. You're not going to trade 3 backup players and get an all-star return. I mean, there's probably what if it was Sohan in the mix? What if they said Keldon, Sohan, Branham, 2 first-rounders, yay or nay? I don't think that they're going to get 3 because people know the predicament that they're in. I mean, they're showing their cards. That is their highest-paid player. And they not only are they going to get some players, they would get some draft capital, but they free up all this cap space. They need to get rid of them. And the Spurs are one of the favorites out there. You can go to Kens5.com or Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone to read an article from Jeff Garcia about it. Thank you for being with us today. Again, this is the Alamo City Sportscast. We are not 895 subscribers strong. I want to thank everybody for being on today. So I was watching First Take this morning, and I don't always watch First Take, but I found it interesting that they had a big old debate about Kawhi Leonard, and Stephen A. Smith called Kawhi Leonard the worst superstar in NBA history, basically saying that not only is he the worst superstar in NBA history because he's can't be counted on because of his health, but also because he does nothing when it comes to promoting the team. He doesn't do advertising. He doesn't do anything like that. He does have a shoe line, but he have other people speak on his behalf. Found it to be interesting. I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah, he is the worst superstar in NBA history. But in sports history, couldn't you say that was Ricky Williams? I mean, Ricky Williams had famously social anxiety disorders. Wouldn't Ricky Williams be like the guy that you would be the poster child for bad superstar? And I hate that because he was on my team, the Saints, for so long. Lots of comments coming on in. Good grief. Let me refresh this. JHNSB saying, trade Sohan for a sandwich. I don't care. Mario saying, I don't see the Spurs getting Garland. It's not happening. Past history, they sign veteran role players. They will draft their future point guard. And all that makes me so pissed off. That pisses me off so bad because you might be right, Mario. You might be right. But how much of Wemby's rookie contract are we going to waste in order to develop a point guard that might not materialize? We're going to draft a Topic hoping he's going to be a good point guard when we can actually just go get a good point guard. That's the problem. Others saying Sohan is going with Keldon. I doubt they would let Sohan go. Why not? I mean, let me ask the question. What's so good? I mean, Sohan is just a decent player. Sohan would not start for any team in the playoffs. Why are we pretending like the guy's an all-star? Why are we pretending like he's a future all-star? He's not. He's not. Can he become okay? Cool. Can he be reliable? Sure. Can he become a Boris Diaw kind of guy? Sure, why not? He ain't Kawhi. He ain't going to be an all-star. He ain't DeJounte, when he made the all-star team. He's not that guy. And Spurs fans hate that. And they get mad at me because they're like, well, you didn't even let him give him a chance. I gave him a chance. I realized it from the get-go. When you're shooting one-handed free throws, you're never going to be an all-star. Ain't going to happen. There's never going to be an all-star weekend where Sohan's doing this at the line. It's not going to happen. He's just a decent player. He's not good. He's decent. D'Lo say that's my whole point. He's ready to win now. F this rebuild crap. He is that good. Why should we wait? Because he's young. He's not just another young player. He's a legit GOAT potential type of player. And that's exactly correct. Why are we going to be wasting the formative years of this guy? Because this isn't like we need to have Wemby develop. Wemby averaged 21 points per game, nearly 11 rebounds, 3 blocks and a couple of steals per game. And he did that as a rookie when plays weren't even being called for him. We know that this guy is a top 10 player in the NBA already. I have him at number 7. And I look at it and I think to myself, dude, just get him some help. Just get him some help. Because the Spurs were able to draft Tim, Tony, and Manu, right? Guess how long those draft picks took? There were like 5 or 6 years of separation, right? You had the 97 draft, you had the 02-03 draft, and then you had the Manu's draft. It didn't happen boom, 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 boom. It happened over the course of about 6 or 7 years. The idea that the Spurs are going to simply just draft a point guard and develop him to become an all-star because it's happened before with an 80-year-old coach by the time that happens is stupid. It is absolutely absurd. Crazy. But again, go to Locked On Spurs, Ken's 5, Jeff G. Spurs on Twitter and on Threads. Hey, are people still on Threads? Dude, I haven't been on Threads in a while, man. I need to go check that out. The other thing I got to do, look at this, dude. I normally have my head covered with the hair, with the headphones. I haven't had my haircut in about 3 weeks, and it's freaking me out. I need to get this done. I'm actually going to Nashville for a business trip and kind of a party trip next weekend. And I didn't want to get a haircut because I'd be in between cuts. But I'm getting tired of this. This is so weird. So weird. Welcome to my home. Want me to show you around? There's a new couch. Got some new bar stools. Me over here. Just me. Going through a divorce right now. So I will be officially divorced probably in September or so. And yeah, good times. I do have my kids for the next 2 nights. And Demon Mike time. Set your calendars, everybody. If you are single, and I know a lot of our on Spurs Twitter complain about the fact that they're not finding dates. They're having difficulty finding dates. I will tell you this much. Go to Facebook dating. Legit, and it's free. Facebook dating is better than Bumble. It's better than Hinge. It's better than Match. It's better than all of those. Go to Facebook dating. But I will say this. There are tens of thousands of single women who are going to start looking for dudes in San Antonio starting next week. Because for those of you who don't know, you should know this. June 1 through August 15 is teacher mating season. All the teachers from the elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools who are working 60-hour work weeks during the school year poke their heads up. They hit the bars, they hit the Chili's, they hit the karaoke, and they're out looking for dudes. It is teacher mating season beginning this weekend. Now, I know Northside doesn't go out till next week, but some school districts are out now. But essentially, when school is over, go find yourself a teacher. They're out there. There's millions of them out there. And once Meet the Teacher happens in mid to late August, they ain't going to be looking anymore. They want to find a man right now. They want to find a man from June 1st to August 15th. I got to lock that crap down, lock that dude down. I got to lock that D down. And they want to have a guy for the next school year. It is teacher mating season right now. Joe Gonzalez saying, Demon Mike for real. Midtown. Teachers are wild. I've dated a few. So have I. Mario, all those teachers hooking up with their students. That's gross. Not the elementary ones, man. Not the elementary ones. My primo wants to know if there's a Sancha community on Facebook. Not on Facebook dating, I suppose so, because you're actually asked the question, do you want to have just a casual relationship? That's actually one of the choices that's on there. Now, I'm not saying that it's a community, but it's actually something on there. So for those of you who don't know what Facebook dating is, it's free. If you go into Facebook and you hit the dating tab, you can put a profile on there for free, and it works just like Match and Bumble and Hinge and all that stuff. Although with Match and Bumble and Hinge, you're paying like $40 to $60 a month for that. With this one right here, you get to kind of look at people's photos and whatnot. And the thing is that when someone sends you a request or you're looking at somebody, it'll tell you how many mutual friends that you have. And you can kind of do a little bit of investigation on them. And you can actually talk to your friends and go, hey, who is this person? And try to connect that way. It's actually a pretty cool deal. Jonathan C. Mike, if you're looking for a date, my neighbor is a therapist counselor for Harlandale High. I like the fact that it's like my neighbor's cousins, whatever. It sounds like that one scene from Ferris Bueller. You know, my friends, boyfriends, cousins, sisters, janitor, saw him throw up at 31 Flavors. Question for Demon Mike. How many days between Blue Chews? Don't know. It's not needed. I will let you know when the erectile dysfunction begins. It just hasn't happened yet. Wake up every morning. I'm ready to go. Rodrigo saying teachers are amazing and pretty much exclusively have been with educators the last 20 plus years. They are sweet and nice and have a wild side. Oh man, God, my hair's shit right now. Dollar. Sam Salinas, Facebook is probably the worst place to find Assange because none of that is on the DL. Yeah, I said DL. Tim Gonzalez, wait, what teachers be looking for a man? Dude, okay, so that's funny because I've been on, and I've taken myself off of these sites, right? I'm like, I like basically expired a lot of my memberships, subscriptions. And over the past 2 weeks or so, every new person that is on there, like new to Facebook dating, new to Hinge, new to whatever, every single one has been teacher. Because again, teacher mating season begins June 1 all the way to August 15. It is 11 glorious weeks to go find yourself a teacher. Here's the cool thing about it. They might not make a lot of money, but they got decent benefits. They got a lot of time off. And they're usually pretty good people because if you're a teacher, you're someone who actually thinks about other people more than themselves. I think teachers are great people, amazing people. I've dated some in the past. They can be just as crazy as everybody else, but they're nice people usually more often than not. John Lassie, this segment has been sponsored by Trojan. Protect yourself at all times. Mario Cavazos, Van Halen's hot for teachers. That's right. It wasn't hot for nurses. It wasn't hot for therapists. It wasn't hot for nail technicians. It wasn't hot for doctors. It was hot for teacher. Teacher wants to see me after school. So I was thinking about that the other day because one of the guys on Spurs Twitter, I know who it is, but I'm not going to say his name, was talking about the fact that he has not been getting a lot of dates lately, and he's been joining a lot of sites. And some of those sites are hit and miss, man. There have been studies that show that if you go to a paid site like Hinge or Bumble or Match, that 20% of the guys are getting 80% of the follows and likes on those sites. So that means that 80%, which is the vast majority of those who have subscribed, are fighting for this 20% pool that may or may not be desirable, but that's what's left that's willing to date you. I think that Facebook dating is a lot better because you can see the commonality of friends. And don't get me wrong, you're going to see a lot of people who aren't friends with anybody that you know. But then you're going to come across somebody and go, man, they have 17 mutual friends. How did that happen? And then you go and look into them and all that stuff. It's interesting. It's fascinating. And so I highly recommend it. It's free on top of it all. It is free, and it allows you to link up your Instagram to it all. It's pretty cool stuff, man. Midtown Texas saying night nurse. Hello. Rodrigo coming out saying teachers are, for the most part, always in a carrying mode, but once they get home, they want to get down. Mario saying, tell them to go to Rock Island. Find a nice girl. God, Rock Island, dude. I haven't heard that name in forever. If Rock Island's not going, we'll go to Planeta afterwards, right? Let's go to Planeta and make it happen. Jesus, Mario. I won't tell your wife this, but you say you had a teacher in junior high that touched your thigh and you liked it. Alonzo, nurses are a different level of freak. It's because of the stress that they're under, man. Those nurses know all things about health and what's good for your body, right? What you should be doing, but they're so stressed out of their minds that they fill themselves up with McDonald's and Marlboro Reds, man. It's crazy. I don't think I could ever date a nurse. Nurses are wound too tight, and I bet you they're freaks. I wouldn't doubt it. But they are wound tight. Alonzo saying, go pick up teachers at South Padre Island. Why? I'm going to spend money. Again, Midtown, this is a good point. Third shift nurses party at 7 a.m. bars. Yeah, they're over in the medical center at Little Woodrow's. That's funny, man. There are bars that are open at 7 a.m. They're not serving alcohol, but they'll bring out breakfast tacos and whatnot for the nurses out there. That's crazy. Teacher mating season. Again, I will bring it up again next week. It is teacher mating season. Mario saying that all the nurses and doctors hooked up like in Grey's Anatomy. That show used to be good, not so much anymore, but I've kind of fallen off the Grey's Anatomy list there. Midtown saying they do serve alcohol. I don't. Back in the day they didn't, but I don't know now. Jonathan C. earlier going, I know a neighbor. Where were you before, man? Why weren't you giving any recommendations before? Okay, Rodrigo saying that he shot a shot at the school counselor back in the day. Interesting. Well, fellas, it is 11:20. I'm going to call it an early show. We're about an hour two in. Tomorrow I'll have somebody here with us. I've set out a couple of invitations already for people to come join. Actually, I've set out 3. Hopefully one of them joins so that I'm not here talking to myself the entire time, although I do appreciate all of the people that have commented. Jonathan C. coming in strong. We will talk offline. Maybe. Anyway, my name is Mike Jimenez. Joe Garcia is on the road right now. We'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast. Hit the like button on the way out, and thank you for being with us today.